US President Donald Trump has confirmed that Washington has the audio recording of journalist Jamal Khashoggi's murder provided by Turkey, but in an interview with an American TV station conducted on Friday, Trump expressed his discomfort at listening to the audio tape. He called it as suffering tape. However, during the interview, Trump acknowledged that people close to Saudi Crown Prince were probably involved. Despite the accusation, Trump said that he wants to stick with America's ally, Saudi Arabia. Trump defended his administration's decision to stop hundreds of millions of dollars in military aid to Pakistan, saying the country does not do a damn thing for the US. He also accused Pakistan government of helping Al-Qaeda leader Osama bin Laden hide. The ties between the two countries strained after Trump hit out at Pakistan for providing safe havens to agents of chaos that kill Americans in Afghanistan and warned Islamabad that it has much to lose by harboring terrorists. The U.S. Special Envoy to Afghanistan hopes to clinch a peace deal with Taliban by April next year. The Taliban and the Afghan government and the U.S. envoy held 3 days of talks in Qatar. The talks were aimed at renewing the peace process in Afghanistan and eventually winding down America's longest war. Afghanistan is planning to hold a presidential election on April 20th, 2019. President Donald Trump said that he would not intervene if Matthew Whitaker, the acting U.S. Attorney General, moved to curtail Special Counsel Robert Mueller's investigation of Russian interference in the 2016 presidential elections. He also said that he probably would not agree to a sit-down interview with Mueller. Whitaker took over the supervision of Mueller's probe after Jeff Sessions resigned earlier this month. American media outlet CNN journalist Jim Acosta returned to the White House following court decision ordering the Trump administration to temporarily restore CNN correspondent's press pass. The White House had withdrawn Acosta's credentials last week in an escalation of the president's attacks on the news media. In a lawsuit filed by the media outlet, it said that White House violated the First Amendment right to free speech. Mexican police set up a barricade at the San Isidro port of entry, the largest land border crossing between Tijuana in Mexico and San Diego in the U.S. to contain the possible crossing of migrant caravans. The move will cause the partial closure of the left side of the busy route, which handles thousands of vehicles daily. A metal wall has also been set up there to prevent the migrants from entering the U.S. Hundreds of residents of the border city of Tijuana of Mexico took to the streets to protest the massive arrival of Central American migrants waiting to seek asylum in the U.S. Police blocked the protesters from reaching the shelter where hundreds of migrants are residing. With flags and banners and shouting slogans, they demanded the departure of caravan members from the country, accusing them of generating insecurity and violating Mexican laws. They even called the migrants invaders. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said that Israel should not go for an early election. The Prime Minister denied reports that said that he has called for early polls. Netanyahu's coalition government has been reduced to a one-seat majority in the Israeli parliament. This after Israeli Defense Minister Avigdor Lieberman and his party quit in opposition to a ceasefire with Gaza militants after 3 days of fighting. Even with the recovery of the wreckage of the Argentine Navy submarine that went missing a year ago, the family of the crew continue to search for answers. The Ara San Juan submarine was discovered by marine tracking contractor Ocean Infinity around 907 meters below the ocean surface. The vessel was found in an underwater canyon with its tail partially imploded. The government has said that it does not have the means to raise the submarine. Some families of crew members blame the government for underfunding the Navy. French President Emmanuel Macron called for Germany and France to dig deeper as allies in their bid to spearhead a more united Europe, including by overcoming lingering skepticism on issues such as Eurozone budget, with European Parliament elections looming next May. The French president had also urged pro-EU forces to rally and take concrete policy steps in a bid to fend off anti-immigrant nationalist parties on the rise in several member states. French President Emmanuel Macron and German Chancellor Angela Merkel laid wreaths at a memorial in Berlin to commemorate the centenary of the end of the First World War. The memorial, a former Prussian guardhouse, was turned into a monument of remembrance for victims of war and dictatorship in the year 1993. Traffic chaos continues for a second day across part of France as Yellow Vest put up strategic roadblocks in several towns and cities, according to officials. Demonstrations in France over rising fuel prices have left more than 400 people injured. Many turned their anger on President Emmanuel Macron, who they accuse of being out of touch. He is yet to comment on the protest and has seen his popularity slump in polls. Tens of thousands of crowds took part in a memorial march to mark the anniversary of the fall of the eastern town of Vukovar to Yugoslav army during the 1991-95 war, led by Croatian leaders. An estimated 60,000 mourners, along with soldiers and war veterans, marched through the streets towards the graveyard of Vukovar, where the victims are buried, carrying Croatian flags and patriotic banners. The crowds formed a kilometers-long column, which was all but demolished during the 3-month siege in 1991. Iraqi President Barham Saleh was welcomed by his Iranian counterpart Hassan Rouhani in Tehran. The two leaders pledged to improve bilateral ties, including trade relations, less than 2 weeks after the United States reimposed economic sanctions against Iran. Imran Khan's government has secured a breather for its dwindling economy. Sources have told WION that United Arab Emirates has agreed to invest $3 billion in Pakistan. This comes after Imran Khan's meeting with the Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi, Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, and the ruler of Dubai, Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, on Sunday. The Pakistani Prime Minister made an official visit to the UAE on the 18th of November. This was Imran Khan's third foreign official visit since he assumed office on the 18th of August this year. The all-party meet called by Sri Lankan President Maithripala Sirisena ended inconclusively. All the parties represented in the parliament attended the conference. The Mahinda Rajapakse's son Namal Rajapakse said he is disappointed to see talks ending without any result. He reiterated party's call for a general election so that people can decide who should form the new government. The president also said that he will need the House to use the electronic system or to take vote by name today for him to decide about the new government. Rallies for and against marriage equality are held throughout Taiwan ahead of a series of referendums on November 24 to decide the future of gay marriage in the state. Taiwan's constitutional court ruled in May last year that same-sex couples had the right to legally marry, but conservative groups successfully petitioned for a referendum, and now the island must hold a series of public votes. The High Court deadline to legalize gay marriage expires in May 2019, but Taiwan remains split about whether this should be done by amending the civil code or creating a separate law. Russian Defense Ministry has published a video of its nuclear battle cruiser launching missiles during Navy drills in the Bering Sea. In a statement released alongside the video, the ministry said the exercises included a nuclear-capable battle cruiser and an unnamed nuclear submarine. The exercise, according to the ministry, involved a scenario whereby the two vessels cross paths. In a sign of warming ties between India and the Maldives, Maldivian Defense Minister has said that the island nation won't be sending back 2 Indian helicopters. Maria Dini's remarks come after Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi attended the swearing-in ceremony of Maldives' new President Ibrahim Solih. The minister also said that it was not in the Maldives culture to ask neighbours to take back what they have given. A day after 3 people were killed and at least 15 others were injured in Amritsar's blast, a national investigation agency team will take over the probe. The blast took place at Nirankari Bhavan in Amritsar's Arliwal village when 2 men lobbed a grenade at a large gathering of over 250 people. According to Intelligence Bureau sources, ISI has been conspiring to kill religious leaders in Punjab. The ISI has been providing all logistics and help to pro-Khalistani elements. India's first engineless train has successfully completed its trial run. The train ran on tracks at Moradabad-Rampur section of India's Northern Railway this morning. During the trial, the train was made to run at different speeds. The train's braking was also checked. The train is developed in India and it is called the Train 18. India's elephants now have their first dedicated hospital on the outskirts of Mathura in the Indian state of Uttar Pradesh. The hospital on the banks of River Yamuna is close to an elephant conservation and care center run by Wildlife SOS that is home to 22 elephants. After the elephants recover from long-term medical procedures and critical care, the elephants will be transferred to the conservation and care center. Over 700 tons of sand from the beach of Jesolo in Italy have been shipped to the St. Peter's Square in Vatican City. The sand will be used to make a nativity scene sculpture for Christmas. In Christmas tradition, a scene is the depiction of the birth of Jesus Christ using art objects. International Balloon Fiesta took place in Mexico during colorful hot air balloons that attracted more than 100,000 visitors. The festival gathered 200 hot air balloons from 23 countries in the metropolitan park of Lyon. Moreover, 23 special shaped balloons were made and flown to further capture visitors' attention. Among them were Yoda and Darth Vader, characters from the Star Wars saga, Dracula, a robot, and a baby in his stroller. Indigenous Bolivian women took time out of the normal schedule to jump on bikes and race through the high-altitude streets of Bolivia More than 375 of the indigenous Bolivian women hopped on bicycles to race through the streets of Bolivia's second largest city, El Alto, which is adjacent to the capital, La Paz. Runners from all over the globe began the grueling Oman Desert Marathon. The first of the 6 stages was a relatively short 21-kilometer designed to competitors to the 165-kilometer race, which will see the runners face a variety of landscapes crossing the Gulf of Oman to the Arabian Sea. In the first stage, Morocco's Rachid El Mourabiti crossed the line quickest in a time of 2 hours, 9 minutes, and Moroccan Aziza Raji took top spot in the women's category. Ace Indian quist Pankaj Advani has completed the grand double of the world billiards title for a record 4th time. The 33-year-old Advani demolished compatriot Balachandra Bhaskar 1,500 to 299 in the final of the IBSF Long Format Championship in Myanmar on Sunday. He had also won the short format title on Thursday and now has a remarkable 21 World Championship to his name.